all new. AM1150 WTMP.com.
Your way, live. Please share the video and like. We'd like you to like it and then share it with friends and family. And we're coming up, starting Porch Talk Radio.
Good evening. Good evening. I know it. You've been sitting around waiting all morning for this moment.
Waiting.
And we're here with you. It's not just the same old guys. We got some guests with us today.
Excuse me.
It's Eddie and Gabriel. And we got some new folks in the studio that we're going to introduce you to a little bit later. But I know you've been waiting, so I'm not going to keep you waiting any longer. If you want to call in during the show, you know, a lot of you guys who are regular, y'all know the routine. If you want to call in during the show, Porch Talk Radio, the call-in number is 813-251-9867, 813-251-9867. If you want to call me after the show, sometime during the week, to talk about everything else that hurts your heart. You know, some folks get a little butthurt about some stuff, and you need somebody to talk to. You know, I'm your man. So.
We got some stuff for you today.
So give me a call. My cell phone number, Eddie Adams Jr. cell phone number, is 813-12. For those who want to text me. For those who want to email me, Eddie, EDDIE, at porchtalkradio.com. All right, we got a lot of stuff going on. I got 3 petitions. You know, they want to recall the mayor. They want to recall the chief of police. You know,
In Tampa?
Yes,
I missed that.
Yeah, that's people been sending me messages. I've been getting email. So you know, people got they dandered up. You know, and
Good.
That's one thing. You know, here in Tampa Bay, it's some issues, and the issue that have been destroying people's sense of being,
Security.
sense of being. Yeah, you know, is the fact that everybody is seeing stuff that's literally hurting their heart. I mean, people are crying, you know, and it's been about a month now. You know, stuff has been happening, and every week when you think it's done, something else happened. And I was in Atlanta last week, so you know, unless you was under a rock somewhere, you know what happened in Atlanta. You know, brother fell asleep in the Wendy's parking lot and was dead, you know, within an hour. So I mean, other than falling asleep, then they bring back, well, he's a child abuser and he did this and I don't know why they do that. I don't know why they do that, because right now, you shot and killed him long before you knew anything else about what he had did and what had happened before the night's events and all that kind of other stuff. So what they're trying to do is soften the blow of somebody losing their life over some bull crap. And that becomes the issue. You know, how many people, how many times in history do it build up and build up and build up, and then there's a big explosion, and everybody forget. Then it starts again. And the generation now, you know, I'm going to say it, you know, I'm a product of the 50s. I was born in 1953, so I'm an old one. So I've seen a few of these, you know, but the 60s probably was the worst because you had more stuff happening in the civil rights movement and all that kind of other stuff. But one of the things that's different now is the key people right now have never experienced any of this stuff before. I've seen it a bunch of times. I've seen it in Camden, New Jersey. I saw it in Buffalo, New York. I've seen it here in Tampa Bay. You know, so hatefully saying, you know, the fact of the matter is it takes a lot to make a whole community that upset. And it's been a long time since it happened to where this community has been this upset. And I'm talking about everybody who has a say-so about it has said something. And that usually don't happen in Tampa Bay, because you got some pacified black folks here. You know, and y'all know I talk frank, so I don't mix my words. I'm just telling y'all pacified. Negroes in St. Pete, a little bit different. You know, those a little bit more ornery Negroes over there. You know, because they got the Uhurus over there. Uhurus don't play. You know, they understand, you know, what it is to have a community that have 3 or 4 people say something, and then everybody pretty much agree and then unite and stuff and start happening. That don't happen here in Tampa. We're a little bit more pacified. So again, that's my opening rant to get the show started, to get some stuff off my chest so I won't forget it later. So I have a guest in the studio, someone who I recently met, and she's saying all the right things. So even though I recently met her, I put some feelers out and had some questions. So it's gonna be a good show because some things, have come to me, and I'm like this, if they come to me, I'm gonna ask her, So I asked her for the show about a couple of situations that people had some concerns about because I did not know, and when I met her, that was my first time meeting her. So again, some other stuff. So anyway, I'm gonna introduce to those who already know her and some who don't. A young lady who's running for HillsBoCo County Court Judge District Group 7. I saw it wasn't district, it was group 7. And this young lady, and she brought somebody with her who's a past friend of mine.
Past.
Who I actually met on the campaign trail, and we did some stuff together. And I definitely like this young man. He's an up and comer. He's got a lot of good things going. So I have him sitting in the co-host chair with Gabriel. So she's gonna be the star today. He's gonna help and assist wherever needed. So TampaBay, welcome. And if we had an applause made, everybody would be applauding for Monique Scott.
Well, good afternoon, and thank you all for having me. It's wonderful to be here. Yes, my name is Monique Scott, and I am running for HillsBoCo County Court Judge. My background is actually in law enforcement and public education. I started off my career with the Tampa Police Department as a police officer, transitioned into public education as a public school teacher, teaching middle school science and elementary school. I then transitioned back into law enforcement and became a prosecutor with the state attorney's office here in HillsBoCo County, where I've served the great citizens of the state of Florida for the past 6 years in 6 different specialty prosecution units, prosecuting everything from small level misdemeanor crimes to punishable by life felonies. During my diverse career, I've had the opportunity to see the disconnect between the public education system and the criminal justice system. I've had the opportunity to see the need for mental health care and services, more so within our community. And I've had the opportunity to come in contact with all sorts of individuals within our community from all walks of life. And of course, that's how I've also met Mr. Norman Harris here. Generally, we were adversaries in the courtroom, but we have always been friends outside and in the courtroom, I would say. He was on the defense side, I was on the prosecution side, but we've always maintained a very professional, friendly relationship. And, combined, I just want to bring those perspectives and those experiences to the bench. One thing I am passionate about, being a former public school teacher, is filling in some gaps that we have right now between, as I said, the public school education and the criminal justice system. I believe we need to emphasize and focus more on our youth, particularly with juvenile justice, that's something that I'm passionate about as our future judge, HillsBoCo County Court Judge.
Well, she was referring to the school to prison pipeline, as we say it in the hood.
Correct.
And part of our conversation and when we met and we talked, some people may not know it, but she explained to me that she's Hispanic. So that's another consideration, for us to consider. It's not like we get a lot of folks who are going to be judges that are black or brown. I'm just saying,
Basically.
It's not a lot of folks out there.
Right. Well, currently we've got Approximately 67 county and circuit judges currently on the bench. Of those, only 27 are female, and of the 27 female, only 7 are minorities, consisting of 3 black females and 4 Hispanic females. So we're, extremely underrepresented as a minority population, both black and brown, and female. So yes, growing up, first generation American, both my parents are from Colombia, South America. Growing up in the 80s, it was not acceptable, at least from my mother's view, who raised me, to be different. My first language was Spanish. I'm also epileptic, so there was an added element of being different and the need to be accepted in our community. And basically by the time I was in 3rd grade, my mother had remarried an American, and she saw that I was being treated differently, not accepted my cultural, Hispanic culture, being accepted, being pulled out of different classes, treated differently, in addition to the struggles and adversity I faced as an epileptic. And she stopped speaking to me in Spanish. And by the time I was in 3rd grade, I lost the language. So, it's something that, when we speak about diversity and the adversity that comes with the acceptance of cultural differences, growing up in the 80s, it was not okay to be different, and I'm ashamed of it now, but when I was young, I didn't want to be different. I didn't want to be Hispanic. I shied away from it, and I resented my mother for being different and having the accent that she had, and listening to the Spanish music that she listened to, and it wasn't until I became a young adult that I realized everything that I missed and that was taken away from my culture, from my heritage. I didn't get to go and visit Colombia until I was 19 years of age because, in addition to everything else, I grew up with a abusive father who was mentally, verbally, emotionally, physically abusive. I grew up in fear of my father. I grew up with this man who was supposed to take care of me and provide safety. I grew up thinking that he was going to kidnap me to a different country that I knew nothing about. So I didn't get to go and visit that country, my home country, my second home country, until I was 19. So, to bring it all together, growing up with that adversity, I have the empathy and the understanding of what it is going to be for individuals who come before me as victims, as witnesses, as accused, and understand that these are human beings, these are individuals, these are not case numbers, and they deserve the humanity across the board to be treated as individuals who have a story, who have some sort of adversity that has brought them before me as a judge, and the same respect needs to be given to them.
All right, so we got a caller. So caller, welcome to Porch Talk Radio on this Saturday afternoon. We're talking with Judge Candidate Monique Scott. Who are you? Where you calling from? And what say you? Hello?
Good morning. Good afternoon, sorry. This is Candy Lowe. Great show this afternoon. And I just had a couple questions. For one, nice to hear you on WTMP, Monique Scott. That is definitely a great start, being on one of our local black radio stations here in the city of Tampa. Number one, when you said focusing on the children, I want you to give me a little more on what that looks like on focusing on the children, because I know that a lot of the African American children in our city go through quite a bit, and the end result, so many of them is going through the system that is designed to herd our black men and black boys off to prison. And then it makes me nervous that that you was a police officer, and it makes me nervous that you were a prosecutor, because I know how the prosecutors want to make sure that we get the maximum sentences that there are. So I'm still trying to figure out how do we get from being a police officer, a prosecutor, and now a judge. It makes me a little nervous, and you can comment if you like.
All right. Well, thank you, Candy. It's good to hear from you as well. So there's two parts to your question. One being, what does that look like with my involvement in juveniles? How do I see that playing out? A couple of different ways. One of the organizations that I am a big fan of and I'm involved with, and I've seen them at work, is the Police Athletic League. We have it's a nationwide organization, and we have a chapter here in Tampa that's run by Parks and Rec. And basically what they do is it's law enforcement officers who volunteer their time off duty, and they have a boxing program for our inner city youth. They have a mentoring program, and in the summer they have a reading program. Now, I've seen this play out live in person. I've gone and I've volunteered. I've spoken to these kids, and all of the children are black and white or black and brown kids who, again, are from the inner city area. I am a huge fan of this organization because I believe that it provides our youth, which their first encounter with law enforcement is always not always a positive interaction. But I believe that this organization provides the opportunity for our youth to have a positive interaction and develop a sense of trust and understanding both ways, for both the law enforcement culture and the culture of our youth as well, and their parents as well. So huge fan of that organization, and how I believe that would play out is I would continue to support and use their services as a resource whenever I have an individual who is young come before me, most likely with a petty small crime. This is an opportunity for me to, as a judge, possibly refer this young juvenile to a resource that will give him a mentorship, that will give him opportunities that he or she may not have had. Additionally, there is another organization which I volunteer with, which is called Instruments for Life, and they volunteer, or they provide free musical lessons to our inner city youth as well. They once the lessons are completed, the child actually gets to keep the instrument for free. So, Mr. Harris, you're a musician. You know what a huge impact arts have on our youth. It provides an outlet for our youth to express their emotions, their frustrations, and I believe in the arts. I believe that it is something that minorities don't really get the opportunity to experience, because let's face it, I'm a mother of a 15-year-old, and it costs a lot of money to have music lessons, to pay for an instrument. Stuff like that is usually reserved for the elite upper class. But when we provide the arts and services to our inner city youth, guess what? We're giving them another opportunity to succeed in another area of life.
Okay, we got about 3. they keep coming in. Oh, we got
but
4.
Really, and let me just finish up Katie's really
Okay.
quickly last
Go
part
ahead.
of her question, which is my career in law enforcement and as a prosecutor. My career in law enforcement was very short, okay? My career got cut short because of my disability of being epileptic. I lost my career because of that, which this was in 2006, before the American Disabilities Act was reformed in 2009 to include that as a disability. So I wasn't there long enough to be jaded, and I'm using that in quotations, to be classified as a law enforcement officer who's jaded. I did have the experience of discrimination because of my disability and losing that job. So I, of all people, have the understanding of what that feels like, and the anger and the frustration of being judged based on something that you cannot control, such as the color of your skin or the disability that you may have. My career as a prosecutor, I 100% believe and support the work that I did. I helped hundreds, thousands of victims, including domestic violence victims, victims of serious violent crimes, and I support that work. Currently, I'm on the other side now. I'm doing defense work, and I'm helping those who've been accused. But I believe in the career that I did. I believe in the people that I've helped, and I'm very proud of my background. And let's not forget, I did do 5 years in public education as well.
All right. That being said, we got next caller. Next caller, welcome to Porch Talk Radio. We are talking with Monique Scott. Who are you? Where you calling from? And what say you? Hello.
Hey, Eddie.
Yes.
How you doing, sir?
Doing great.
This is Brother Jarvis. I just wanted to get a chance to talk to Monique, okay?
Yes, go ahead.
All right. Monique, this is Brother Jarvis. I met you with Mark Proctor.
Jarvis, yes, how are you? Good to hear you.
I know. I'm very good. Good to hear you too. Glad you're on Eddie's show. Eddie got the highest rated show in the city, and we love Eddie.
Thank you, Jarvis.
I do have a concern. Just as Candy does, Monique. And I want you to understand, Monique, this is genuine. This is coming from a good place, okay? This is not beating you up or joking at you. None of that. This comes from a good place.
Yes, sir, I understand.
In this climate of George Floyd, police misconduct, police brutality, prosecutors not charging police getting on people's neck, killing people, no warrant, no not warrant, driving white light, walking white light, breathing white light. And it ain't no just people color, minority, all that BS. It's black people. And that's why when people talk about, well, all lives matter. Well, all lives didn't matter when they killed Emmett Till. Oh, well, all lives didn't matter when they lynched my great-great-grandmama. All lives didn't matter when they had a school-to-prison pipeline for black students. In third grade, they started figuring out how many prisons they're going to have. It's a systematic hate and racism in this system. And we just really have a hard time trusting somebody to be a judge that then prosecute people. Then when you answer Candy, you say, well, when I talk about help beat up for the children, I'm talking about police PBA. Who want to send their children around police athletically? What bright or good sense brown person will send their children around police that have disdain and hate for them? Last Thursday had a black woman, okay, had a rental car that had not paid, was behind the pavement, reported stolen. Police gets out the car, draw a gun on the black woman, damn near to shoot her to death. In the midst of all protesting worldwide about defunding the police misconduct, de-annexing the city, get our own city, we can govern ourselves because we're just so tired of this oppression among police and law enforcement. It ain't just the police, it's prosecutors. It ain't just prosecutors, it's judges. It ain't just judges, it's for prosecutors. It's the state attorney. It's all of those people, man. They don't have no sense of fairness and equity in dealing with black people. So you want to be the judge and you want to really get black folks back, you're going to have to really come up with a better narrative about your involvement in law enforcement. You need to say, well, I was involved, but I wasn't there when 3 police stand around and let somebody kill George Floyd. 3 police didn't do that. That blue wall of silence in law enforcement community, we just hard to trust. We're hard to trust. And I'm struggling because I love Mark Proctor. I'm struggling to vote for you because of that kind of background. I don't get the background from law enforcement to education. I don't get that kind of background. I wouldn't want no police teaching my grandchildren, my great-grandchildren. Not no police that got this thing for them.
All right, Jarvis, let's let her answer.
Let me get through. Like the money now. Sometimes black police and brown police just as bad as white police. Thank you. I'll listen.
All right.
All right, so Jarvis, thanks so much for calling in, and thank you for raising your concern. I understand the concern that you have. The thing is that I am a part of the black and brown community, whether you know, it is what it is. I mean, I talked earlier in the show about the adversity and the struggle that my mother and I faced. And the big reason why I got involved with law enforcement and prosecution is because I grew up, as I said, afraid of my own biological father. And I have a sense of compassion and a need that I feel like I need to protect others who, like me, was a young child and afraid of my own biological father. And so I do believe that there are good prosecutors and that there are good law enforcement officers, and we need to do our best to support them instead of push them away. Because let me tell you, that career, it's a difficult, tough career. And there are all sorts of races that serve in those careers getting paid nothing. I mean, look at my career. It's been a lifelong career in public service. I didn't choose these careers, obviously, because I wanted to make money or because I wanted fame or, you know, anything. I wanted to serve and help and protect the community that raised me. So, you know, the thing is that, again, I understand where you're coming from. I think that we all need to approach this with understanding and understand that we have more in common than we do in differences. That when you look at law enforcement and you look at prosecutors, and, you know, we're jumping over my career in education completely, all of those come from a good place, from wanting to serve the community. And I wish to continue serving the community as judge. And my support of the Police Athletic League, I think it's good to encourage positive relationships with our law enforcement officers and our youth. Because, as I said, I believe that there's more common ground if we can at least start there than there are differences.
Amen.
All right. So we still got about five calls waiting. So next caller, and thank you, Monique, and thank you, callers, for being patient. We're gonna try to get to everybody before the show's over. I was only gonna do this for 30 minutes, but we're gonna extend it, you know, to the length of the show. However long it goes on, it goes on. That's what we do on Porch Talk Radio. So welcome, next caller. Welcome to Porch Talk Radio. We're speaking with Monique Scott, candidate for Judge Group 7, Hillsborough County. Who are you? Where you calling from? And what say you? Hello.
Hello.
Yes.
I got a question for her. She's running for judge, and prosecutors, and I know a lot of them. Some of them have made good judges, others forgot. Still think they're prosecutors. Three things that I look for: judicial temperament, judicial demeanor, and judicial impartiality. Now, she knows, even though she may not want to say it on the air, that you have some that go from prosecutors to judge that don't want to seem soft on crime because it may make them be accused by the police union or something as being a softy on crime. Yet the offense itself or the evidence, they dictate that a person should be found not guilty. So I like for her to just be honest within the judicial canons of what she can talk about. Where does she stand as far as making the public understand that if she catches a law enforcement officer lying, and you had to go through this experience as a prosecutor, if you wouldn't have been a prosecutor, if you hadn't run into people that lie, use boilerplate language. So where are you at on your temperament and your judicial impartiality, when that even if a public defender shows that the crime wasn't committed and that an officer of the court lied, would you have the courage to take away from your prosecutor background and just call it as you see it? And I'll hang up and listen.
Thank you, Pete.
Well, Pete, wonderful question. Thank you for that. Yes, you're right. I have had that experience as a prosecutor. One time in particular where it was egregious, and I conducted a deposition with this officer, and it was very blatantly clear to me that this officer I mean, really used excessive force, was not honest in his report, and I ended up just dropping the case. I had to clear it with my chief, because the way it works at the state attorney's office is before I just drop a case, I have to get clearance from my senior chief, and that's exactly what I did. And then we actually took it a step further, and we made sure that we brought it to the attention of that officer's supervisor. So yes, as a prosecutor, I had no problem doing that. As a judge, I again would take the same measures and the same action. As this is very important, as an attorney, whether we're on the defense or the prosecution side, the one side that we all take an oath to serve is for justice. And I am doing zero justice if I encourage law enforcement to be dishonest, to cheat, to abuse their use of authority. That does zero justice. And in my courtroom, my temperament, my judicial philosophy is one of integrity, civility, and fairness. So I will have zero tolerance for any sort of injustice in that regard, and I will absolutely not just have the courage, but it's doing the right thing. That's not about courage. It's doing the right thing. And as a prosecutor, as currently now a defense attorney, I have no problems, and as a future judge, I have no problems in making sure that the law is fair, impartial, and executed, dispensed in a humane way.
All right. Next caller. Caller, welcome to Porch Talk Radio this Saturday afternoon. Who are you? Where you calling from? And what say you? Hello?
Hi, I'm calling from Tampa. Calling to ask a question.
Who are you?
I want to remain anonymous.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. I think she said she was a police officer, then she became a school teacher. My question, why would you become a prosecutor instead of a public defender? And what area of town did you teach school? Like the host said, they call the school system the pipeline from school to prison. It's interesting. Why would you become a prosecutor instead of a public defender?
Okay, thank you, and thank you for calling in. Great question. So I wanted to become a prosecutor because I failed to mention this, so this is my fault. I actually started off with the public defender's office in Washington, D.C. When I graduated USF, I interned with the public defender's office in D.C. as an investigator. I did that for approximately 4 or 5 months. It was like a semester, basically, and a wonderful experience. I was in the field, actually making contact with our clients, those that were accused of a crime, witnesses. So I had that experience, and it was a really great experience, but I wanted to get a taste for the other side. So that's what I did, and I thought the office that I applied to was a good office. I knew that we were not micromanaged. I knew that our chiefs and our deputy chiefs were people that I could go to with the case if I had a concern, like the one I talked about before, and I could express that concern, and they would drop it because I know I could trust in them to do the right thing. It wasn't about statistics or numbers or conviction rates. It wasn't like that for that office. So that gave me the faith to go and try the other side, because I did, as I said, start off actually with the public defender's office in DC. And the second part of her question was related to teaching.
How you go from teaching to being a prosecutor?
Yeah, I mean, so that I answered that. So basically, I wanted to try the other side.
And what area a town that you teach?
Oh, that's right, the area town. So I taught in Pasco County. I taught at Veterans Elementary, and I taught at John Long Middle School.
Okay. All right. So next caller, because we still got 4 callers, waiting. So next caller, welcome to Porch Talk Radio. Oh, we got 6. Okay, we probably not gonna get to all 6 of them, but we're gonna keep going. We're gonna keep going. So next caller, welcome to Porch Talk Radio. We're talking here with Monique Scott. Who are you? Where you calling from? What say you? Hello.
Yes, my name is Landon, and I'm calling from Tampa, and thanks for taking my call. To your guest, I think you would do better with maybe white listeners because of your background, law enforcement, prosecutions, and office, et cetera. But I would think you're too appealing to black voters because of your background and your upbringing. And not only that, racism is pervasive. It's even there in Hispanic countries or Latin American countries as well. There's a strata there, whereas racism is even there. So with your background and your upbringing and your disposition, to be honest with you, I really don't think you're too appealing to black voters to set in judgment as a judge. Maybe to white voters, you would look great. That's all I want to say.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks for your comment.
I will chime in on that one and say that I am a black male in America.
I testify.
And she has my support. So to say black voters is an overstatement. There may be certain black voters, but not all. I am a defense attorney, and Monique has part of our history as a prosecutor. As a defense attorney, I will clarify that prosecutors have a very important job in the country. As a matter of fact, the black community came together and rallied and protested for Zimmerman to be charged and arrested. Well, if we have no prosecutors, there would be no reason to demand a charge and arrest. There needs to be a prosecution system in place to prosecute. The same thing with the situation with George Floyd. Well, guess who's prosecuting George Floyd? Prosecutors. Now, I will tell you that prosecutors have discretion, and a part of their ethical duty is to objectively look at situations, and if there is exculpatory material or material that comes to light that suggests that a case should not be moved forward, they have an ethical duty to disclose that. Now, do all prosecutors do that? No, but the good ones do. And as a defense attorney who practiced a lot in HillsBoCo County, I had some cases against Monique. And I will tell you, the last case that I had with her, the state had made an offer, and I made a request to do depositions, but asked them to hold the offer. I've had prosecutors to tell me, no, if you do deposition, all offers are off the table. She didn't do that. And when I did depositions, and ultimately the case was dismissed. So my experience, I'm not talking about street talk, but my experience as a lawyer who practiced law and who has practiced against Monique has led me firmly to know that she's objective. Otherwise, believe me, anybody who knows Norman Harris knows that, you know, I'm convicted about what I do when I do my research. And, you know.
Thank you. All right. So I know we got a couple more callers on the line. We're going to try to get to as many as we can. But we want you to give your information out, how people can help you, how they can volunteer, how they can go to your website, how they can give you money, you know, because this is a campaign. And Monique has 3 or 4 other people running against her. So and that's where I look at. If you look at the folks who running against her, somebody's going to win. Are other folks better than this candidate? I don't think so. So that's where we at now. So let's let her give her information, and then we're gonna go and get a couple more callers. So give me info.
Sure. Thank you. So my phone number, feel free to call me or text me at this number, is 813-758-4834. You can visit the website at scottforjudge.com, and my email address is monique@scottforjudge.com. scottforjudge.com. Feel free to reach out through any one of those methods. I'm always happy to take your phone call, answer your email, and answer any further questions that you have. And thank you again for having me on. It's been wonderful.
It's been a tough crowd out here today, isn't it? I'll tell you what, they got some good questions they're asking, and as a Hispanic male, since color matters, the skin, I just want to listen to this lady. She started off, and I was going, oh boy, here we go. And then she finally turned it around, and she said, you know what, I don't want young kids to be afraid of the policeman. I need them to know that there's a lot of good ones out there, and to integrate them into rehabbing them, as opposed to giving them a pass so they can go back and repeat again. That's useless, and that's what has been going on for decades in a lot of these towns out here. As opposed to someone saying, no, we can stop right now, we can intervene through intervention. Let's get them involved somehow in a positive way. Not bowing down, not being afraid, and not showing them to be angry at anyone wearing a uniform, because not all police are bad. A few are bad. Not all Hispanics are bad. A few. Not all blacks are bad. A few. And it's trying to bust through the decades that's been going on in our system that just hasn't worked. So thank you for what you're doing.
All right. Okay, let's get another call in. Welcome to Porch Talk Radio this Saturday afternoon. Who are you? Where you calling from? And what say you? Hello?
Hi, brother. This is kind of urgent.
Hi.
I want to say this.
Turn it up, Tim.
The silence of black attorneys on so many major issues as a body has been disgusting. That's number one. And it's at the death of this brother for them to finally start calling out their selves. And of course, Eddie, I'm not part of that little group. I thank God every day. I got 25 years history or more of being united with the mission of the Uhuru movement, being a former member. Now, this is what I think. Monique Scott would be a horrible judge. And it's because of not that she prosecuted me, but she has a reputation in our community by individuals that she prosecuted where she was seeking maximum sentence on nonviolent offenses. And so that is what we're trying to rid ourselves of. I don't care if Mark Proctor, I don't care if whomever turn around and introduce her to this community. Her record speaks for itself. And the fact that what she has offered us as her involvement into the community as the police athletic club as a substitute, when our community has been asking for our own resources, our children are forbidden to participate in that process because of the many fathers, uncles, and other brothers in our community that same league has prosecuted on one hand, and on the other hand, they tend to try to siphon their appeal to our children only to extract information. No, she has not been a servant of our community. Maybe she will have time to redeem herself since she's a young woman to come back to offer our community some real service. Show us how to dismantle this system of oppression that you have worked in both camps, the courthouse, being a prosecutor as well as former police. Thank you.
Thank you. Now I told her we have some, this show has a lot of listeners, and they're very smart. So she's already aware. So thank you.
I mean, there wasn't really a question. You expressed an opinion, which I accept. I will just say that my opponents, we're talking about color. All my opponents, we're talking about are white, either male or females. There is a certain sense of entitlement in which I believe my opponents have, that they are entitled to this position because of the number of years in which they have served as attorneys. With me, you don't get that. With me, I've been very honest and upfront with my platform, serving as a previous school teacher, which we're choosing to ignore. serving as a previous police officer, serving as a previous prosecutor, and now currently on the other side. My whole entire life has been dedicated to a career of public service. And I am proud of helping all of the domestic violence victims who had suffered at the hands of their abusers, their children who witnessed the abuse go on for years at home, for all of the victims that suffered violent crimes and their families and the witnesses who had to come in and testify. I mean, those are cases I will not apologize for, and I believe that those victims feel differently about me than you possibly do. I believe that the students that I have taught feel differently about me than you may do. And again, all of my current clients who I'm currently representing as a defense attorney, they probably feel differently as well.
All right, next caller. Caller, welcome to Porch Talk Radio on this Saturday afternoon. Who are you? Where are you calling from? And what say you? Hello?
Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah. This is Joe Robinson calling. I got 3 quick questions.
All right.
Welcome, Joe.
She say she's from Columbia. What city in Columbia you from? That's the first one. That's easy.
Good parents.
Bogota.
All right, I got friends in Bogota. You got that, test fan. I got real good friends from Bogota. Next one is, have you ever been to an NAACP Durham membership meeting?
I have been.
Okay, are you a member of the NAACP in Hillsborough County?
I am not.
You better join. That's all I got to say. All right, let somebody else get in. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Joe.
Thank you.
We love you, Joe.
Yeah.
All right, next caller. Welcome to Porch Talk Radio. We're having a very good conversation here with Monique Scott, who's running for County Court Judge Group 7. Hello?
How you doing? Good morning. Good afternoon. My name is Malika, and I'm from the younger generation where I've seen the same repeat cycle within the judicial system. So, Monique Scott, I want to know, I don't believe in words. I want to know for the younger generation, for myself and my children and my children's children, what are your actions going to be? How can I believe your actions? Because as you stated, we are all human. But as you can see, one life matters more than the other. So what's going to push you to get our vote to feel like we can secure you, the county judge?
Okay. Well,
thank you.
Thank you for calling in, and great question. The thing that I'm most proud of is my immersement within the community. I currently serve on 4 different boards. 2 of them are community boards, and the other 2 are law related. Those boards are the Epilepsy Service Foundation, the Tampa Hispanic Bar Association, the Hillsborough Association of Women Lawyers, and the Sheriff's Hispanic Advisory Council. In addition to that, I'm involved with Kiwanis, Metropolitan Ministries, and the Humane Society. As you said, you are a younger person. I believe that judges, historically, they are placed on a pedestal. They are on a bench, quite literally, above everybody else. And I don't think it should be that way. I think that judges need to be immersed within their community so they have a pulse and a sense of understanding of the citizens that they are serving, not the other way around. My involvement within the community gives me a sense of understanding across the board of the individuals that make up our community and the needs that are there, and more importantly, the resources that are available to our citizens that many judges do not take the time to really go out there and learn about. What is good about my position is I've had the opportunity to visit death row. Okay, I've had the opportunity to go to Stark Prison. I have visited numerous times both jails, Orient and Falkenberg. I have visited DACO, Phoenix House, the Abe Brown program, Salvation Army. I know of the resources firsthand that are within our community that are alternative options to mental health and drug addiction as an alternative means to jail and probation. So to answer your question, my involvement within the community is how I propose to continue serving in the community, and I will not be the judge who takes the bench, is a bookend to my career, and ride off into the sunset into retirement. No, this is the career. I will continue with my involvement within the community because that is the kind of judge that we need. We need a judge who is a community judge, not one who places themselves above others, has lived an entitled life, and one who actually has been forged from the fires from adversity such as myself.
And see, the other thing too, we got to take into consideration. But this community, I'm talking to black folks, to blacks, Hispanic, everybody, but primarily, as you guys know, we talk to black folk. The fact that she's on this show, the fact that she's on this radio station, I guarantee you before this election is over with, none of her opponents are going to show up and even target you as a potential voter because they don't give a crap, and they don't give a crap about you. And once they get on the bench, they're not going to give a crap about you. We have someone that's here doing, I ain't going to say outreach because that's the bad word. Outreach is as bad as saying quota, which was going to be my other conversation, But the fact that she's here, she's trying, and she's going to learn some things. She's going to learn some things about the community. She's going to learn some things about you. And that helps makes her identify better. Again, we always tell you Porch Talk Radio is really about information. It's about getting information to you so you can make a good, sound decision. When you go to vote for judge, if her group is on your ballot, you're going to have to make a decision or skip it. And a lot of time, you don't vote because you don't know a damn thing about none of it. This is a person who has reached out to you. You may not like her, but again, you've heard her opinions and some of her decisions and how she got to where she at. That's more than you're going to know about anybody else in that group when you go to vote for that judge. So we got some more callers, and we got a little bit of time. So I'm going to try to get 2 more callers in. We got to do on this day, and we got to let Gabriel get his talk in. So let's get another caller right quick. Caller, welcome to Porch Talk Radio this Saturday afternoon. Who are you? Where you calling from? What say you? Hello?
This is Adam from Tampa. Just wanted to say I give Ms. Scott some credit for coming onto this platform. But I also want to give you credit, Mr. Eddie, that you're being very congenial. But the thing is that someone once said just because they're just your skin folk doesn't mean that they're your kin folk. So just because a person is part of the black or brown community doesn't mean that they have the sensibilities or align themselves with policies that would help to uplift the community. Now, the thing is that Ms. Scott has experience. You call things, Mr. Eddie, you call things for what they are. You talked about the school to prison pipeline. You called it for what it is. In all of the discussions that I've heard this hour, I've not heard Ms. Scott reference systematic racism that is permeates all of aspects of our institutions in our society. She worked in the school system, so she would also be exposed to the systemic racism there. She worked in law enforcement, which also has systemic racism. She also worked as a prosecutor, which also has systemic racism.
We're getting told to wrap it up, so go ahead and make it real quick.
Okay, let me wrap it up. But the thing is that she's had someone come on to give her, say that in his experience, she has done things a different way. But then you also had someone that called in that we need to look at her record and how she looked for maximum sentences for nonviolent offenders. And the thing is that if she is so proud, she wants to be judged, I want her to answer, when we dissect your record in terms of sentences that you sought for nonviolent offenders, will you stand on that? Are you proud of your record as a prosecutor in dealing with black and brown defendants and seeking the maximum sentences on nonviolent offenses?
All right, thank you.
Sure. Yeah. I don't know who that caller I don't know if we got their name.
Adam, he's our regular.
No. The one before that
okay,
made
okay.
that accusation that I pursued maximum sentencing for nonviolent crimes. No, I don't believe that is true. I welcome you to look into my record as a prosecutor, and I believe that in talking and investigating my record as a prosecutor and in talking to other defense attorneys, not just Mr. Harris here, that you'll find that I have always been extremely fair. I've always been open to alternatives, something alternative to jail or prison, and I have always focused on trying to find a way to actually help the individual with some sort of resource and treatment, which is why I've actually taken the time as a prosecutor, as a community servant, to go and visit these programs that I talked about and actually learn about the entrance requirements for DACO, for A. Brown, Salvation Army. I mean, that's not typical for a prosecutor to do. I did that on my own time. Like, that, absolutely not. And I don't know who that person was or what sort of information they're getting or from who or from where, but that is not true, that I was seeking maximum sentences for nonviolent crimes. Each case is looked at, and each case is consulted with the victim involved. 4 years ago, Marcy's Act was passed overwhelmingly by the residents of the state of Florida by 62%. So we consult the victims as is required, and they have a say. But if it's a nonviolent crime and we can help a person and it's related to mental health or drug addiction, which overwhelmingly most cases are, then we're going to be looking for alternative resources to send them to. So, yes, please take the time to look into to that record.
So thank you, Gabriel. Let's see if we can get those in.
You know, real quick, guys, just wanted to just bring some reality to everyone since we have some good calls coming in. Right now, with what's going on in our nation, it's absolutely, I'm going to just say right off the bat, it's absolutely Democrats, politicians blaming America for the problems they have caused. The reason they want to make it federal reform, federal action, is because it makes the country have the problem and try and fix their problem. But the country didn't cause their problem. It's the failed Democratic policies in those cities. Chicago had the worst weekend recently, most violent and deadly weekend, since we've been keeping record. And it's just a result of decades of rot. Just Democrat policies, Democrat mayors, police chiefs, councilmen, just horrible schools, the dependency of the government being staying on the cheese, the worst gun violences. And it's the policies, folks. It's the policies that have failed America decade after decade after decade. If you want change, you got to get rid of the policies. If you get rid of the policies, you get rid of the policymakers. So just a quick observation. Of course, BLM, we've now discovered it is a corporation. It's not a not-for-profit. They pulled in hundreds of millions of dollars around the planet right now, making it happen. Woof! We're being played again.
All right. Okay, with that being said, this is probably the first time in a long time we won't get a chance to do on this day. Yeah, because it's now 2 o'clock. We got to go.
We're out of here.
We love you, Tampa Bay. Glad you was with us today.
You get twice next time.
Look forward to hearing you, seeing you, being with you next week. Until then, same bad time, same bad station. We love you. Bye-bye.